BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
Welcome to another episode of Queen3 and King, Queen3 and King. You are joining us for the slap heard around the world.
You talking like Chris Rock.
And it's still echoing. Yeah, he was shook. Black and So, yeah, we're going to discuss this. Obviously, we have been champing at the bit to be able to get to it here. I had the good fortune to be able to discuss it last night on the forecast. We skipped our regular review of the show Master with Regina Hall. We'll get to that next week, but this was too hot not to touch. So we'll dig into that here in a little bit. Again, the slap heard around the world. Before we get to that, I want to introduce my co-hosts, starting with the baby queen today, out of Forney, Texas, by way of East Garland, standing at, since she done been carrying that baby around, probably about 5'1 3/4 she probably done lost about an inch or so. Mama Lee, formerly known as Blake Mama, now known as Bronx's Mama. Mama Lee, the baby queen, say what up to the folks.
Hello, everyone. How are y'all?
She got that same gel that girl that look like that gorilla gel on right there.
Don't be a hater. Don't be a hater, because it might
So we might be having to spray some WD-40 on that a little later to get that off for her.
Come on, I need you to get your words together. Try to go in on me.
Next, we have, wait a minute. We have a comment regarding the baby queen from some individual named Brandon Biles. Ain't you supposed to be working or something, man? All right, and next, out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, by way of East Garland, Texas, still in an imbroglio with the State Department. This is being escalated to the Supreme Court of Oklahoma now. It was a victory for her to get Justice Ketanji Brown nominated, because that may serve in her favor. For Queen of Tulsa, we got the educator, Meba, TT. What up, Queen?
One a couple of guys who were up no good.
All right, and next.
It's good.
Like one little fight, my mom got scared. Said, "You moving with your auntie and uncle in Bel Air."
She practiced that all day. She was ready, baby.
Yeah, she ain't getting no work done today.
And she ain't got no auntie and uncle, no damn Bel Air either.
She sure don't.
Yeah, the same thing would happen to you that happened to Nikki. You'd have moved to Arlington. Yeah, that's as far as y'all could have went. Shit. That's where Nikki ass moved, and that's where you would have moved.
Went on to Mansfield, okay?
It wasn't Mansfield at the time. No, it was
I would have went on out there.
And last but not least, the queen that formerly defected to Arlington. She is out in Anna, Texas, by way of East Garland, Texas. She is also known as Coco, Darling Nikki, Skinny Minnie, Boney Maroney. What up, Queen?
Hey, y'all. I want to give a shout out to Arlington, Texas.
Wow.
All my peeps.
And for our audience that are on Facebook, we already have some people that are doing it. by giving Restream their permission to publish their name. So I just posted a link in the chat room. So if you are on Facebook and your name is not appearing, please click on that link. But we are able to see Brandon on Facebook, Miss Gates. We're able to see her on Facebook. Thank you for coming in.
Shayla.
TT Shayla.
We are able to see Aunt Weeda on Facebook. Says, hey, my beautiful
Hey,
family.
Weeda.
And we got H-Rap saying good evening. He must have jumped on as soon as he got through with his show.
He couldn't even go get a drink or nothing.
Yeah,
That's our Leo brother.
He couldn't go TT or nothing.
Nothing.
All right.
We got Kirby.
Oh yeah, that's right, Kirby. I was looking at the Facebook folks first, but yes, we do have Kirby Alexander in the building. Again, we are talking about the slap heard around the world. For those of you who are watching live on Roku TV, we appreciate it. If you're not on Roku and you have a Roku device, please remember to search BS3 TV and download today. Please, if you're on YouTube, click that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and please share it with a friend. Later on, we may be taking some phone calls at 469-290-4602.
Oh, my God.
469-290-4602. We may attempt to do that a little later. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get into our initial thoughts regarding this, and we're going to start out. The baby queen when I say she's been waiting for somebody to listen to what she got to say on this, so we finna go to her first. We want to just know. Oh yeah, you've been ready. Give us your initial thoughts and kind of let us know what your general take is. In terms of who's right and who's wrong. Go for it.
So my initial thought was, is this real? When he walked up on stage and slapped the mess out of him, I was like, was this staged? Because it didn't look real. But then when he went back to his seat and he started cussing him out, basically, I was like, oh, this is real.
Oh my.
So that was my initial thought. And it took a minute for me to even say, y'all, this isn't real. Like, I don't know if this is real yet. But
you were watching it live?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because
So you heard it without any sound and stuff like that.
And then I finally found the one with the audio. It was, I think it was the foreign countries had the correct audio.
Yeah, I think Japan had the first one there.
And so I kind of like was flipping back and forth. So I really didn't know at first. And then I was like, I guess this is real. And then people started posting it on Facebook. Shayla sent it to me. I'm like, okay, this got to be real. But my take on it, when I started seeing some of the comments, everybody was like, well, Will Smith was laughing. And I was like, well, that was an uncomfortable laugh. You can see in his face. He was kind of like, all right, I'm on the front row, so let me let you make it. But then when he looked over at his wife and saw her demeanor changed, I think that did it for him. So my takeaway from it is we witnessed a Black man protecting his wife. And I think it's something that people haven't experienced. Some people haven't experienced, and it definitely shows. I said that on the show last night. It definitely shows that some people have never experienced that. I think we often say we got to protect our Black men, but we also have to protect our Black women. And they are still crucifying this girl to the cross for something that her and Will agreed on to do in their marriage that has nothing to do with this subject. But I think that violence, you have to, when you resort to violence, the consequences, whether it be good or bad, you just got to deal with it. So it may not feel, we may not feel like, dang, you shouldn't have went over there and slapped him like that. You should have maybe pulled him over to the side. But I think we witnessed a human having a human moment.
All right, Mika, what's your take? Initial thoughts?
I think it is a lose-lose situation on both parts. Chris, you shouldn't have said it. Will, you shouldn't have went up there. Like Alicia said, he was protecting his Black wife, but protection doesn't always equate to violence. So what was another way that he could have, handled that situation? Meaning Do I get him afterwards? You know, do I talk to him afterwards? Do I comfort my wife? Because at that moment, it stopped being about Jada. Everybody forgot about Jada. I think, you know, once you went up there and you started, you know, and you hit that man, which is the ultimate disrespect, which I've heard from several black men to be slapped in the face. Somebody said that's ultimate disrespect. So it stopped being about his wife at that moment and start, I think, like Alicia said, he had a moment. This was misplaced anger. Will was mad about other things that had occurred with his wife, and he just chose it was that moment that he said, "I ain't no punk." And he went on that stage and let the folks know what he was about. So I think it was a lose-lose situation.
All right, Nicole.
Well, I understand protecting your wife. However, I don't think that was the time or the place to do it, because that, to me, it took away his moment. And I was looking at the faces of like Venus and Serena and some of the other people that were there, and everybody was just like in complete shock. But I think that like Alicia was saying, he could have pulled him to the side. I was telling Kyra that earlier today. He could have talked to him afterwards. I don't think that was the time or the place to slap another black man and disrespect, because I didn't think that was cool. I thought that was kind of low, in my opinion. And I don't think that he should have did that right there at that particular time in that moment. He should have pulled him to the side and had a private conversation with him regarding how he felt, because that wasn't the place. And you could tell that he was really shook up by it, because he wasn't expecting it. I thought that he was thinking, okay, Will's going to walk up here to, you know, to come up here and crack up with me or do something, you know. But he actually, when he slapped him, nobody was expecting that. So I just don't think that it was the right time, because he's going to, in my opinion, that's going to be a stain on his trophy, you know, this particular situation for Will.
Well, that's why they call it the slap heard around the world. And my thoughts are a bit different on it. Whereas Mika said it's a lose-lose.
It is.
My take on it is that they were both right and they were both wrong. You know, it's a little bit of right and a little bit of wrong to go in all these situations, right? I don't have that big a problem with Will defending his wife, and unfortunately, and regardless of what has taken place in their marriage before, you know, that really does not play a part into what you do right then.
Thank you.
Because once you've made a decision to stay in that marriage, your obligations within that marriage are the same. And again, we hear all the time about men being protectors and providers. And the social media sites are littered with women saying, if you can't protect me like that, I don't want you. You know, in fact, on the show last night, one of the things that we talked about is that being for men, one of the things that we have to decipher when we're trying to determine a life mate is, does she put me in harm's way more than average? You know, more than, you know, is she the origin? Is she the common denominator in situations? Is she the one who's bringing this at our doorstep, so to speak? And if she constantly is the one that's putting me in a position to have to defend her, then maybe she's not a good mate, you know. But in this particular case, obviously, we know Jada did not start it. You know, she was not the factor that got this rolling, you know, because she had a condition that, you know, no one knew, or that he may not have known. You know?
He may not have known, but it's been out there.
Yeah. And that's what I said earlier, that to somebody that he probably didn't even know that she had that condition.
But Tech, I mean, I like that you said, are you putting your man in that situation a lot? Like, what are you doing? And because why did he feel like he had to get up at that moment? Like, what are you doing as a wife?
Yeah, we'll definitely get into that, because I think this is the factor there. Because guess what? You know, in certain situations, a woman can cut that off and be like, okay, I know you want to protect me here, but let's make a wiser decision together, you know. And she may hold him back and say, babe, don't worry about it, you know, or whatever the case may be. Now he's fulfilled his obligation, and she's basically not protected him as well, you know, and protected the family as a whole. But again, I think there's plenty of right and plenty of wrong to go around, you know. So from Will's standpoint, you know, again, people are talking about, and I'm with H-Rap, and I'm with, if you watched the show last night, Mayhem, are like, they sick and tired of folks talking about he shouldn't have did this and he shouldn't have did that and etc. They like, we done all been in moments to where you lose your shit,
okay?
Right.
and you go do whatever. So they're like, hit that, we are living this human experience, and he had a human moment, and you're not thinking about where you are at the time. You're thinking about what you have to do. And I got news for you. I got news for you.
You see
as a man, when you determine and make a decision as to whether you're going to go protect your wife or whatever, it don't matter if Mike Tyson was the one who did it. We don't, in the barbershop, we talk all the time. Hey, you do something to my wife that, I'm supposed to be protecting. I'm not. It's not about winning or losing the fight. I'm prepared to take an ass whipping to fulfill my role, because the ass whipping I'm gonna have to take if I don't is gonna be much worse than what you can do to me physically. So again, plenty of right, plenty of wrong. Again, Chris Rock, being a comedian who has skirted the line, plenty of times. I don't know what I feel about, they're saying he crossed the line. How do you know he crossed the line, right? Where does the line go? And I got a feeling that the line moves from year to year, decade to decade,
or person to person.
There you go.
He's crossed the line on many occasions.
Yes,
and in some instances, in way worse. I've looked at some videos just overnight. I'm like, yeah, I would have slid him right then for that.
But I'm with you, Ted. You have so many people. I'm sick of them saying what they wouldn't have done and what. How do you know what you're gonna do until you put in that particular situation?
He got to live in front of.
Like I said at work, I'm so glad I know so many perfect people on Facebook, because some of the comments you like, oh really? But I seen you get live before. Yours just wasn't caught on camera, homie.
You're not celebrity status.
You're not celebrity status.
All right, we got Bree Mack in the house. What's up, cousin?
Hey, cousin.
All right, Galen said, I don't think it was an act, but I don't even think the white public even cares, because it's Will Smith. He's not even considered black all his way.
Right. He Hollywood.
Well, I don't know about that, but what I do know is that he's revered in Hollywood, and you could see the outpouring of support in that room. So in that room, I promise you, Will Smith got the nod from the folks in attendance, which is one reason why the Academy didn't come and remove him and cause a bigger scene with it, because again, he is beloved in Hollywood. And so again, I think the audience didn't have a problem with it.
No.
And I don't think he'll receive much backlash from this in terms of not being able to get roles and all that other kind of stuff.
No, he won't.
We just said Chris Rock shit, I guess is what you're trying to say.
Slap Chris Rock.
Slap Chris Rock shit. Okay. Keisha said good evening.
Hey, Keisha.
Hey, Keisha.
He said pre. Okay, Keisha says, I never experienced anyone protecting me before ever. I was pleased with Will slapping Chris. She said, pleased. Sure enough, it was wrong. Will had a moment like Tom DuBois on the Boondocks. Wow. Everybody don't watch the. Okay, Tracy brings up a good point. She says, triggered.
But to that point, Ted, when do we get to pick and choose when people lose it? He lost it. So I think
that's right. Yeah,
we don't get to pick and choose.
And so this is going to go ahead, Lily.
We saw the whole thing play out. He lost it. He won an Oscar. He immediately was like, "What
remorseful?
Did I do? What did I do? Like I really messed up."
Yeah.
But even in Will's book, and it was talked about in some interviews today, he's talked all of his life. He's felt like a coward. From watching his mom be abused his whole life, from dealing with different people saying, oh, he's phony, he's fake, he's this, he's that. And you also have to remember, a lot of media has their names on his kids' mouth, like on his kids too. So they think his kids are weird because they let them live the way they want to live. They think he's weird and weak because of his marriage. But my thing is this. You can't keep poking a bear and not expect them to react.
That's true.
But that's just like, I think he just had a whole bunch of stuff. Like Alicia said, she just pointed out, like if you're in a relationship and y'all done got into it the night before, but she come in and she don't put her trash right in the garbage. You get pissed off and you're like, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, okay, that's small, but he just finally chose to blow up.
But I do believe he had a lot built. He has had a lot built up.
It's
in him
just
for a
been
while.
a thing,
Right.
things building up.
And we'll talk a little bit about that later. I have this deal from Relationship Means where they go into detail about that. I'll read it in a little bit. Lakeisha said, he's an actor. It's so hard for me to believe. I still believe it was staged, but I get all sides of the narrative, honestly. Well, for those who think it was still staged,
there wasn't no stage slap.
We will take a look at, first of all, we're going to take a look at where this may have started at from when Chris Rock hosted the Oscars back in 2016.
Yeah.
Once that is over with, we will go into the actual situation from Sunday night. So let's look at where this could have possibly stemmed from, and gives you a clearer picture as to what Will might have been thinking.
Well, I'm here at the Academy Awards, otherwise known as the White People's Choice Awards. You realize if they nominated host, I wouldn't even get this job. So y'all be watching Neil Patrick Harris right now. Jada says she's not coming, protesting. I'm like, is she on a TV show? Jada's gonna boycott the Oscars. Jada boycotting the Oscars is like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited. Jada's mad her man, Will, was not nominated for Concussion. I get it. It's not fair that Will was this good and didn't get nominated. Yeah, you're right. It's also not fair that Will was paid $20 million for Wild Wild West, okay? You know, it's not about boycotting anything. It's just...
All right, so that happened 2016. So as you can see, he had something to say about both of them. So have they been stewing since then? Have they had a conversation since then? We don't know. But then fast forward to Sunday.
You know who's got the hardest job tonight? Javier Bardem and his wife are both nominated. Now, if she loses, he can't win. He is praying that Will Smith wins. Like, please, Lord. Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right? That was a nice one. Okay. I'm out here. Richard. Oh, wow. Wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
Wow, dude.
Yes.
It was a G.I. Jane joke.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
I'm going to, okay? Okay. That was a greatest night in the history of television. Okay. Okay.
Now, if you think that was staged after seeing that, did you see Will's face? Did you see how shook Chris Rock was? And if you watch the next 5-10 minutes of where he stumbled through giving this award about this documentary, he kept saying the award for he couldn't get his words together.
Yeah.
And when you,
I'm Lupita at that table because Lupita's like, what the devil?
Yeah, and did you see Lupita was when he said keep your name? Her head was moving with it. And she was looking back and forth, like, okay.
Because she didn't know she needed to get up and move or what.
Yeah. So again, I just don't see how anybody can watch that clip and think this was quote unquote staged, whatsoever. Since that time, it has come out that this was not one of the vetted jokes that Chris Rock had. They during rehearsals and things of that nature, they basically say everything that they're going to say. They go over their monologues, et cetera, so they can be put on teleprompters. and whatnot. And all of his other jokes had been put on teleprompters. This was not, so it was an off-the-cuff remark. Maybe some of the writers within his own team, may have brought it up to him and helped him, fashion what he was going to say. But it was not a Oscar vetted joke, or wasn't a joke vetted by the Academy.
Now you see why they do that, right? To prevent things of this not of this magnitude, but of this nature happening.
Yeah. Now another thing, folks,
somebody would have thought this probably won't be a good one because she actually has a medical condition.
Yeah.
That's why her hair is like that.
Now some people may, I don't know if you've ever seen Ricky Gervais host the Oscars or an award show, and he makes what Chris Rock says look like he could say it at a preschool, because he goes hard, to say the least. We're gonna catch up on some of these comments, and then we're gonna read what the relationship means had to say about this particular deal. Let's see. Akia says, I honestly would want my husband to be able to control his emotions and think before his actions, because that's more powerful than being able to lash out. I don't ever want my man to resort to violence unless I'm the kids are in danger or physical harm. Well, you may be in the minority there, because there's a lot of women who would think the exact opposite. Jada definitely needs to start protecting Will way more, because the buildup of emotions he has come from her running her mouth, saying dumb stuff in the media, giving people stuff to talk about that makes him look so dumb. Not this particular time.
But that's a small piece of what we see that maybe happens in their everyday life. So we keep magnifying, oh, this happened. Jada said this. Oh, and then she did this. That's only a small piece of what you see inside what goes
very,
on.
Very small. Yeah, very small piece. D Great in the building. What's up, my man? He says,
yo. I'm gonna start greeting people like that.
Yeah. Okay. A-Trap said that Jaden tweeted, that's how we do. I don't know who this Facebook user is, but give Restream permission to post your name. There's a link in the chats that you can click on.
Scroll up,
so we can give you proper credit. He goes, Will ain't hardly no bear. Chris weighs 75 pounds. A lot of folks think it would have mattered who was up there, and I don't necessarily think it would have mattered.
I don't know, y'all.
Let's see. Twin says what Jada was doing wasn't a secret to Will. He knew all about the entanglement.
He has had plenty of entanglements of his own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to watch the slow motion version. She goes, I feel like it never connected. I never seen it connect. You need to watch the slow motion version. It connected. And with the way Chris Rock reacted, you're not going to react to somebody, quote unquote, attempting to slap you, but not the way Chris Rock did. It ain't happening.
And his mouth was leaning a little bit.
And you knew he wasn't expecting that to happen.
Yeah.
His mouth was leaning a little bit more after.
Tracy says, I believe it stemmed from him being emasculated by his wife.
Small penis.
Yes.
A-Trap just says, wow. Keisha says, damn, Christopher, that joker had to regain his breath and mental state after that.
This is hard.
A-Trap says, I would hate to be her husband. Now she's looking at him like, do you love me like Will loves Jada? He must be talking about
Chris Rock, or anybody. Just to be anybody's husband, right?
Yeah. Mayhem, who went off last night, says definitely not staged.
All on Mayhem, baby.
It did fool me at first, but it's definitely not staged. Same thing. Facebook user give Restream permission. She goes, what day? He or she says, what did Jada say to him that made him so mad because he smiled about it? Well, see, let me address that right quick. Folks think he was laughing at the joke. He was not necessarily laughing at the joke. People need to show some social awareness right here. Okay, right? We have all been in a situation where someone told a joke or did something that wasn't funny, but we laughed initially because it's just it's a natural reaction, especially when you're in a setting where laughter is the order of the day, right? He had just said another joke that was acceptable and he was laughing at, so he's kind of carrying on with that laughter. This joke comes out, you hear the rest of the audience laugh, so before it really dawns on you what had been said, you're laughing because it's just a normal human reaction to laugh. He wasn't necessarily laughing at the joke.
And when you're at award shows like that and you're sitting on the first row, you have to be poised. You have you have to look around. You have to laugh with everybody else. You can't be sitting up there stone faced. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, so folks who don't get that aspect of it is missing a big factor, you know. Gaynor says, who wins with two Negroes in a stage slap, LOL, on the Oscars? Will laugh, but when he saw Jada's reaction, he had to go.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things. You look at your wife and see that she's been super open about her illness, right? Saying how it's affected her. And you know, behind closed doors, this may be one thing that breaks her completely down.
Right.
All the time.
Right. Especially her, you know.
Yeah.
It may be a big thing. This is somebody, matter of fact, I heard it said today, I believe, this is someone who has been basically a sex symbol in the culture, in our community, since, you know, Poetic Justice or before or whatever, right? Whatever movie I'm thinking of. But anyway, and so now for, you know, and we know hair has been a big deal. Hell, Chris Rock himself did a documentary called Good Hair, right? Wasn't he involved in that?
Oh, yeah.
So,
D-Greatest. That was fine. You spoke.
That's right. Yeah. They said they heard he farted a little bit.
Please tell us who you are.
Oh, who is this?
I didn't have a name.
Exactly.
Selena says it was a courtesy laugh. Yeah.
Exactly.
CJ said Jada somewhere probably saying Tupac would have shot him.
He would have.
She looked at Will, go check your boy, you know. And hey, and let me put it like this: if you are in our community, maybe it's not so much in the white communities, okay? But if you are in our community, you know what this is all about. Go check your boy. She knows what this is about. This ain't for us. Maybe I can't speak to what other races may have to go through. You know, I done been black all my life, and I know what we got to go through. And that she looked at you or said, go check your boy, or look at you with this look that says you need to go handle that. That ain't no made up situation. You know, that ain't no cap. Nakia says, thank you for addressing the laugh, Ivan. That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
But even on that, in the black community, what do we always say is off limits? You go at me all day, but what's off limits?
Try to say community one more time because you struggle with that one. Say
I know you not.
I did not. The way you struggled the first
I think you put a B in community.
No, I didn't. Okay, but we always say wife and kids off limits. You come at me all day long. But wife and kids off limits.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me read this by relationship means. They commented on it, said, this is not an act of love. Jada Pinkett Smith is very good at manipulating the narrative to look like the victim, but she rarely really is. She humiliated Will, degraded him, belittling his character and manhood and all for the world to make commentary on, to talk about their relationship, their kids, their sexuality, so that she could remain relevant on her show Red Table Talk. She encouraged Will to act on her behalf at the Oscars, and he stupidly would jump out in front of a bus for this woman. I think Will Smith's mental health has deteriorated, and his actions at the Oscars show what kind of dark place he is mentally to do something like that, which is completely out of character. And I feel more sorry for him than Jada or Chris Rock. Will Smith is crying out for help, yet because he's a man, no one can see it. He's been through emotional abuse for decades. All it took is one look from her and he reacts. That's toxic. Her manipulation and oversharing of their personal life has shaped the emotional state that Will Smith is going through and is not pretty. What y'all think about that? Anybody?
I think it could be possible. That very possible, actually. But I don't know.
This is my deal. They said she humiliated Will, degraded him, belittling his character and manhole, and everybody's talking about emasculating him on that. I don't necessarily agree with that necessarily. He wouldn't have went on that show not knowing what they were going to be talking about.
Telling you,
you know, now the fact of the matter is, yes, he looked like his stomach was hurting on that show.
He looked
his
hurt,
eyes were red and all that other kind of stuff. But you know, we don't know what all that was about. You know,
I kind of agree with that. I kind of agree with that statement that was read. Parts
you,
of it. Mm-hmm.
yeah. Whenever they talked about, because I said that on the show last night, is that this was not a reaction to the joke. This was a
No.
reaction to everything that he's been through over the last several years. Because regardless of whether Jada is, and this is my larger point, regardless of whether Jada is the precipitating factor in what he's had to go through with the public scrutiny of his situation is irrelevant. The fact of the matter is he's had to go through public scrutiny real hard and heavy for the last 5 or 6 years or so. I mean, where they constantly. I mean, heck, as a matter of fact, last night somebody pointed it out, just on this network alone, I think it was Ben, just on this network alone, how many shows have been done about Will Smith and Jada, you know? So again, it is out there, and he's been, you know, he's had to deal with it quite a bit. So, you know, I personally, that part of it where he says, I think Will Smith's mental health has deteriorated in his actions at the Oscar shows, what kind of dark place he is mentally to do something like that. That particular part of the state, and Will Smith is crying out for help yet because he's a man, no one can see it. He's been through emotional abuse for decades. All it took is one look. That part of the statement is the one that is the part of it that I agree with the most, you know, is that he's struggling. You know,
but while one, like everybody keeps comparing this to the August situation, all that stuff, one has nothing to do with the other, but one has something to do with the other emotionally. He's carried that baggage. So while this, you know, they were like, oh, he wouldn't have slapped August like this. This has nothing to do with August. He reached a breaking point. He went on stage, and I think he wanted to show the world, y'all can't come at me like this. Y'all keep coming at me. I've lost it. Y'all, you know, and I think he was damned if he did and damned if he didn't. Because we were going to have something to say, whether he stuck up for Jada or whether he didn't. We were going to say, I can't believe he sat there and let him do that. Or I can't believe he went on the stage and did that. So I think he was damned if he just had to do something. And while maybe, you know, she looked at him and said, go up there. But I would, you know, sometimes as a woman, you have to say, that hurt me. You look at your husband and say, that hurt me. Let's think about our 350 in the bank and his 50 million in the bank. Huge difference. We have to attack this in a different way. We can't attack it the same way we would attack stuff on the street.
But the thing is, people keep saying what he shoulda, coulda, woulda did to August. We don't know what happened with him in August.
That's very true.
If you think about it, August was talking he had a lot of heat coming for about 2 weeks. And then he dropped off. You didn't hear nothing else.
Yeah, and I went back and listened to that episode as well. That portion where they were talking about August, and they did make it clear that they were done at that time. You know, like she says, I was done with you. He was like, I was done with you. They weren't together, so you know.
But it still doesn't make it hurt even any less.
Yeah, it makes it. Yes, it does. It make him hurt less. It don't make him not hurt, but it does make it hurt less because at the bottom line is they had agreed that we're not together anymore. So it hurts less. It doesn't hurt zero, but it does hurt less. So before we get into, because this is an area I want to keep staying on, where Tracy mentioned, you know, it's about reaching your breaking point. He arrived at his breaking point, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll get back to that in just a moment. But before we do, we need to go to Sybil Wilkes with what you need to know.
Sybil
Wilkes with what you need to know. Today is Tuesday, March 29th, 2022. More questions than answers about Brittany Griner. The WNBA Phoenix Mercury basketball player detained in Russia on drug charges. She got a shout out of sorts at the Academy Awards Sunday night. Ben Proudfoot, director of the Queen of Basketball, won the Oscar for Best Documentary Short. At the end of his speech, he said, "One last thing, President Biden, bring Brittany Griner home." A lot of questions, but as some WNBA colleagues are saying, they've been told not to make a big fuss about Griner's detention. Lisa Leslie said in a recent podcast they were told not to make a big fuss, or they could use her as a pawn, so to speak, in this situation in the war. Number 2. Thousands of Central and Southern California grocery workers have voted to authorize their union to call a strike against several major supermarket chains. About 47,000 workers at hundreds of Ralphs, Albertsons, Vons, and Pavilions voted. The possible walkout would involve grocery clerks, meat cutters, pharmacists, and pharmacy technicians represented by 7 locals of the United Food and Commercial Workers International Union. Number 3. Anyone 50 years and older could soon be eligible for a second booster dose of the Moderna or Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine. The Food and Drug Administration is expected to authorize the additional booster shots without holding a meeting of its independent vaccine advisors. And as BA.2, an even more contagious version of the Omicron variant, continues to spread in the U.S., the concern is mounting. It could fuel another surge. Number 4. A Ratcliffe, Kentucky police officer is accused of running over an unarmed black man suspected of trespassing. According to a lawsuit, the victim, Anthony Gray, suffered several physical and mental injuries, including a fractured left tibia. The lawsuit, which names the city and several officers as defendants, is requesting a jury trial and unspecified monetary damages. Number 5. California Secretary of State Shirley Weber is one of 3 black women Democrats focused on expanding voting rights across the country who hold the position overseeing elections and securing voting infrastructure throughout their states. The other 2, Lee Chapman in Pennsylvania and Tahisha Way in New Jersey, hold these posts that have become higher-profile statewide offices as the battle over voter access has amplified in recent years. Read more about the groundbreaking women in today's What You Need to Know newsletter. Here's your daily inspiration from Yogi's Jewels. Contrary to popular belief, it can sometimes be too late. Start living your best life today. Join me today, live on YouTube and Facebook at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, with political contributor Cameron Riley and comedian extraordinaire Damon Williams, as we discuss today's top headlines and more. Thank you to our What You Need to Know partners, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated and the American Heart Association. To subscribe to my free daily newsletter, please visit SybylWilkes.com. Be informed, be empowered.
Thank you, Sybil. We appreciate that. Now, I would be wrong if I said something about that Senator Shirley Weber's hair, wouldn't I?
Yeah,
Watching that okay, I just wanted to know. Lily, why you trying hard not to?
I just look to the side because I ain't got time.
Give a shout out.
Or do something. Don't say nothing about nobody here.
Let's real quickly about that What You Need to Know segment, the Queen of Basketball, the Oscar that they won, that everybody should know that did involve Shaq and Steph Curry too. They were the executive producers of that documentary, Queen of Basketball. That's a very interesting story. So it's only a 22-minute documentary, I believe, so it's worth checking out. For certain.
22 minutes.
Yeah, I believe so. Yes, it's a short documentary. Let's just catch up on these comments. So about a breaking point, does anybody have anything else to say about him just reaching his boiling point and it not being about that moment?
No, I totally agree. I think it was a breaking point. And if anybody thinks that he got upset behind that particular joke, that's not, you missed the whole thing.
There's definitely more to it.
It's more to it. And we, like I said at the beginning of the show, we do not get to pick and choose when someone has their breaking point. Mm-hmm. So you stay off of somebody. You never know what people are going through.
Right. And Pastor Smith said this is a build-up rather than an isolated event.
Yeah.
CJ said, the only thing I say about this is you see how far Will Smith goes for his wife. I guarantee she would not even go the distance for him.
How do you know that?
That's right. We don't know that.
CJ, my boy.
You know way you don't know that. And then he also says when he was getting publicly humiliated, where was she at? We don't know. Just because in that situation it was different. The humiliation was public, but their reaction was not. So we don't know what happened on that. And she goes on that damn red table talk, talking about how unhappy she is. Facebook users still hadn't given us permission, but they said no, it would have been front page news. We definitely would have known.
That's not necessarily.
I don't know about that.
Not necessarily.
Selena says, factually, we heard about it after the fact. Who knows his response at the time? The indiscretion.
They might have paid all this off to be ye quiet about what I did.
Quiet.
The White said that wasn't the first time Chris called Jada out. He did it a few years back, like the Nutty Professor said on that movie. That's enough. That's enough. Yeah, we saw
That's enough.
And this was not Will's first time reacting to somebody doing something that kind of set him off. So let me just give you a look at exactly how Will reacts to certain things.
Oh my God! There you go. Hey, what the hell is your problem, Come on, man. What the hell is your problem, buddy? All right. Hey, sorry. You said kiss me in my mouth. You joking? You lucky I ain't sucker punching. No, sorry. I said that on camera. Yeah, no, it's all good.
I will.
Hey, what's up, man?
So he back
Connor told me about that today.
So
Wow.
again, you know,
I'm not mad because don't be kissing on me. Stop
Don't.
doing
yeah,
that.
Don't. Even pre-COVID, don't.
You don't
yeah,
do
it don't
that.
matter.
It don't matter if
COVID
it's
or not.
pre-COVID. He could
I
have
don't
cooties,
care if
anything.
That's what I'm saying. Pre-COVID, I'm germophobic. So stop.
Oh, wow.
All right. H-Rap. Here he comes. Here he comes, H-Rap. You know he's watching our show.
Okay, so Jada says, stop thinking Will don't know about August and Jada. That Red Table Talk was the best acting Will and Jada did in years. August just told and broke the code. They were like,
the code.
damn, player. Yeah.
Broke the code, did.
Let's see. Keisha said, when she wrapped up by saying Yogi's jewels, I thought about John Yogi and said wretched a little. I don't know what she's trying to say there. Let's see. Replying to Keisha Walker.
Yes,
Keisha Walker, yes, me too. Tracy. She said it was unfortunate what happened because it took away from his Oscar win, Questlove's win, and the fact that this is the first time the Oscars was produced by an all-black staff.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time a black guy slapped another black guy.
Yeah, showing out.
It's just like we had a lot of firsts.
This brings up a good point. I want to get y'all thoughts about it. I posted on Facebook, because I heard so many people, and this is what I was feeling like mayhem about this particular subject, where they was like, this has set us back, 60 years and stuff like that. And I was like, if one slap could set an entire race of people back 60 years, the slap isn't the fucking problem. And I meant it. Yeah. Come on. Are you kidding me? Cut it with that. Yeah. We the only race of folks that anytime something happens, we say it does set us back. It's the case because you shall have what you say. It keeps setting us back because we saying it set us back. Ain't nothing set me back. Y'all be set back by your damn self. I ain't set back nowhere. No, I don't care if he'd have shot his ass. It didn't set me back. I don't care what he did.
I guess Tag woke up on
you need to wash your mouth with soap when you get
he set us back. It's detrimental to our race. Shit. I mean, at what point is that going to be over with?
He coming with that big Wilkes energy because Wilkes is
They got a little battery in his back on that one.
Transsexual disrespected him and Jada didn't do or say anything. Wow. I don't know.
Laverne Cox.
Keisha said Jada would have beat him if he didn't respond. Word on the street is light-skinned women beat their men. Wow. Selena said he's a habitual slapper.
Maybe that's his thing. Like
you disrespect me, I disrespect you.
Yeah, but that's the ultimate disrespect to slap somebody.
Yeah. Derek said that video there was a reaction. What Will did with the slap was not a reaction to the joke. Too much time had passed between the joke and the time he got up. Will reacted to something else. Right on.
Mm-hmm.
That's
right on. Craig says, Will from West Philly, real men stand up.
West Philly.
Craig says, that's why Beyonce don't go no damn where.
They did a still shot of Beyonce and Jay-Z when they saw the slap, and Beyonce was like, and Jay-Z was like,
Beyonce said H-Town.
stand up.
Yeah, that one boy, twins. He said, I agree. It didn't seem like it didn't set me back either. I heard that.
No.
Yeah, hell with that.
Mm.
A-Trap said if he would have not, it would have set me back 10. No Pootie Tang too. Wow.
Why does he like that movie?
Oh,
Greg said the producer was asked about the incident. He said, I told y'all it would be good this year.
Good.
Wow. Wow.
Mm.
All right, Lily, you want to, so that leads us up to the apologies that have been issued over the next couple of days. So we will start with, I think it's Chris's statement.
Chris Rock's, yeah. So his statement said, as a comedian, it can be difficult to understand which lines are to be crossed and which ones aren't. Last night, I crossed a line that I shouldn't have and paid the enormous price of my reputation as a renowned comedian. Comedy is never about poking fun or making light of people that deal with major ordeals happening in their life. Comedy is about using real life circumstances to create laughter and bring light to an otherwise dark world. With that said, I sincerely apologize to my friends, Jada Pinkett Smith, Will Smith, and the rest of the Smith family for the disrespect and disregard our display while unfortunately broadcast for the world to see. I hope that with time, forgiveness can come out of this situation and we can all be better, more considerate people in the end.
I thought that was a well stated, especially that end when he says, with time, forgiveness can come out of the situation and we can all be better, more considerate people in the end. I think that was dope. All right.
And this
now to Will's statement.
Okay. Violence in all of its forms is poisonous and destructive. My behavior at last night's Academy Awards was unacceptable and inexcusable. Jokes at my expense are a part of the job, but a joke about Jada's medical condition was too much for me to bear, and I reacted emotionally. I would like to publicly apologize to you, Chris. I was out of line and I was wrong. I am embarrassed, and my actions were not indicative of a man I want to be. There is no place for violence in a world of love and kindness. I would also like to apologize to the Academy, the producers of the show, all attendees, and everyone watching around the world. I would like to apologize to the Williams family and to my King Richard family. I deeply regret that my behavior has stained what has been an otherwise gorgeous journey for all of us. I am a work in progress. Sincerely, Will.
Right. And I don't know that I agree with the fact that it's a stain on their project at all, to be perfectly honest with you. The work is the work. He was just one dude doing what he did.
Yeah. I think he just felt bad.
Did y'all lose respect for Will?
I didn't.
No.
I don't think anybody. I didn't either. In fact, my husband agreed with the fact that he slapped him.
Yeah, I don't.
He did. That was the first thing he said. He should have slapped him.
Yeah, I really don't. It makes me feel no other way about Will, because who are we to crucify him when we've had moments? So
Genevieve says Will Smith's son said this is how we do it. He should be quiet because his dad was wrong. I don't think his dad was 3 wrongs. I think
just one.
I think he was a half a wrong and a half a right.
Woo!
Let's see.
I'm loving seeing the different perspectives because it's a lot. People are saying different things.
Adrian said Mika is bad on purpose. That's what makes it so good.
Pootie Tang.
Pastor Smith says those are statements from their publicist. Chris Rock was tempted to tell all the business after that slap. He called himself. Yeah, most definitely. He said, so I could, whenever he says, keep my wife's name out your mouth. Or because somebody like Chris Rock who thinks the way a comedian thinks and how quickly he thinks.
Yeah.
He really could have nuked him right there if he wanted to.
Yeah.
But
I was glad he just let it
dancer for white America, so he had to move on.
Right.
Yes, he did. We just read that apology. So yes, he did apologize. Somebody, his publicist or whatever, but it goes to his credit.
Oh my!
CJ Boyd says, "Man, after that, if I was Chris Rock, I'm charging up both their asses on that tour."
Oh, his sales went up like drastically.
Yeah, I heard that.
Whose sales?
Chris
Rock's tour
sales. Of what? Oh, really?
Yeah, his tour sales jumped drastically.
And Netflix probably called
because they know he's gonna be really making some jokes now.
Yeah, Keisha
he might not.
No, he might. He gonna make a joke about him getting slapped. He's not gonna say nothing about him. You know, because he said it right there. Damn, Will Smith just smacked the shit out of him.
Yeah, he did.
That was funny, man. Keisha says, I didn't lose a piece of respect for Will. This person on it says, no, just disappointed in the way he's reacted. You know, what I said on the show last night is that people who are so disappointed in the way he reacted and that he had a moment must have never had a moment. I wish Mayhem was on to be able to say this, because what I said last night is that when we have a moment, when we lose control, and if you haven't lost control, let me tell you, like a pastor used to say, keep on living. But when we lose control, our minds are rigged to self-justify. We can rationalize how we get from point A to point B, but we can't rationalize how somebody else gets from point A to point B. So if you hadn't had a moment, keep living. H-Rap says, nope, still cool with me.
Still don't watch his movies.
Yeah, so she's talking about the apology. CJ says, did y'all hear Regina King made a joke on their entanglement, but Jada and Will ain't do a damn thing? Again, because like Pastor Smith said, like a lot of us have said, he didn't react just to that one thing. He had other stuff going on that he was having issues with. Genevieve says $200 to $300 million in a lawsuit because that slap is going to be forever out there in history. It ain't gonna be no lawsuit.
What lawsuit?
No, it ain't gonna be no lawsuit.
What lawsuit?
I don't think so.
I never thought that from the moment it took place.
Chris Rock is not crazy. He knows that he put a lawsuit out there.
Yeah, you slap a regular dude who ain't got no money, you might have a lawsuit.
Absolutely.
You slap Chris Rock, that ain't gonna be a problem.
If he didn't press charges, he's not gonna have a lawsuit.
Right. Okay. So another angle I want to talk about this. I heard somebody on there, and I had to comment. I don't know who posted. I think one of y'all saw it, but they was like, you know, Russia's doing all this in Ukraine, and ain't nobody had nothing to say about that. But when this stuff say, hey, everybody got something to say, and can't nobody stop talking about it. Well, my reaction to that was much like Mayhem's, and I'm like, look, the Russia-Ukraine situation is not one that a lot of us can relate to. But this situation, we can relate to both sides. It is a natural phenomenon that we respond and react more to the Will Smith, Chris Rock situation than we do the Russia-Ukraine situation. In addition, the Russia-Ukraine situation surprised no one. Everybody saw that shit coming. We knew they was going to do what they was going to do. Anytime you line up 200,000 troops at somebody's border, you're not over there just trying to do push-ups. Hey, your ass is getting ready to come with it. So that was not a shock to anybody. And again, we can't relate to that. How many of us have been in a war situation? How many of us have been in a situation where we're getting invaded by a country? How many of us have even been in the military? You know, so again, why would the world be commenting on something they can't relate to? But this, everybody can relate to the fact, like, how would I feel if somebody told an off-color joke about me? How many people can relate to the fact that would I protect my woman in that situation? How many people can say, what if I was the woman in that situation? How would I react? How many people can say, what if I was the one telling a joke and getting slapped? How would I feel? We can all relate to that, but nobody can relate to that Ukraine situation. Y'all got any thoughts on that?
No,
I 100% agree with what you said.
While we do care,
yes,
caring is different than being able to relate. And being able to relate is you're able to speak on it. A lot of people can't relate and speak. So yeah, I totally agree with what you said.
CJ said, here's my thing. I don't feel like that was disrespectful. It was short little jab and he moved on from it. I've seen comedians like Dave Chappelle and Cat Williams roast a fan for 8 minutes straight. And that's the difference. It's a fan in a smaller venue. So what you take, think about it for a second. How many of us have told a joke to somebody and it's one-on-one and they didn't have a problem with it? You said the same joke in front of family and friends and all of a sudden they ass is hurt. Like, wait a minute, I said the same shit to you last week. So that's just what it is,
And the whole room quiet. I've been there. You're like, oh my God, I thought that was a good one.
Yeah, Genevieve is saying it's the principle, the principle of what? You telling my wife an off-color joke? Or it's the principle of me coming up and slapping the shit out your ass? I don't know. Tracy said, well, at least the slap heard around the world brought attention to alopecia, Rihanna. All right. Whoever she is. And her mama, I don't know why she named her alopecia.
Move on, Ted.
Move on, Ted, because
she said, we don't give a damn no Russia and Ukraine. Why should black people care about that? Hell, we can't even get no police reform in our own damn country. Okay, can't argue with it. Then he said, Doc, that's true. Obviously, a situation that you wish would not have taken place. But again, I'm someone who says that when situations like this take place, there is some positive that come from it, But I am a glass half full type of guy, though, and some folks, look at things and automatically take the, most negative approach and the most negative outcome from this situation. So.
And you know how many conversations were sparked between people in a marriage or relationship about how they would handle a situation like that? That's positive.
That's right.
If we were in that, so how would you do? Or this is how I would want you to handle yourself if we were placed in that situation.
It helps you set proper expectations.
Yes.
Pastor Smith said the higher you go, moments cost you more. So a guy like Will can't afford to have moments like that. When the strength of your name puts food on other people's table, you have to use more wisdom. Tracy says not going back to Facebook jail because of you, dog. Who put you in Facebook jail before? That's what you need to be asking yourself. Jesus said at least the streets aren't talking. I don't know.
She said have the streets been talking because the segment didn't come.
About this
segment. This was the whole thing. I couldn't top this story.
A-Trap says how many people broke up after that slap?
For sure.
Okay, so one more aspect of this and then we'll give our final thoughts. When should words lead to violence? When should a verbal act lead to a physical response?
I don't know if I can answer that.
I can't answer that.
It depends on where I am emotionally.
Right.
So it's going to be dependent on where is Alicia at, because sometimes I'm going to want to throw hands. Sometimes I'll pray with you. It just depends.
Yeah, something just not worth even.
Yeah, because when I ask myself that question, when should words lead to a physical response? My first thing is that we've all heard and think what the N-word would do to you, right? Mm-hmm. Most black folks, if you say the N-word, you're gonna probably get a physical response. So that's one word that most folks would say are there. But are there times when words should lead to a physical response? Some people, let me put it like this: some female, if you call them a bitch, they're gonna lose their minds. For whatever reason, that they have that effect on them. Even though they just got through talking to their friend, bitch, stuff like that. If you call it,
that's one thing I'd never.
Run that back.
The B word.
Ted, what they say?
Run
bitch. So when they doing that to each other and shit, it's okay. But when somebody come call them a bitch, you call me what? And they be ready to fight. Some people are really serious about it. If you say something about their mama, oh, they gonna look, they gonna have a problem with it, you know. So again, are there times where violence is the answer for a verbal assault?
Yeah, because guess what? If you got your mouth on my kids in a way, or say if you've said something to my kids and my kids cannot protect themselves, I might have to go ahead and snatch you up. But that's just Alicia, and I'm not there yet with that.
Yeah.
So,
and that's
Trap says only after your mama.
I mean, as you get older and you mature, like Ted say, you don't have a lot of fight left in you. We're not about to be tussling.
Yeah, it's just about picking your battles.
I think it's about picking your battles. Would I say it all? You know, you never want to be able to somebody speak to you and say something, and you go to that level. Hopefully, you're able to pick and choose and not get out there, but. It depends on, like Alicia said, sometimes you have those moments, or if you coming at my kids,
I'm sorry, that's a different playing game for me.
Yeah. Keisha said, as soon as they're spoken, you got to have cast iron balls to say something that you know may end up physical. The bitch and hand gesture took me out. What I said, I think it was last night that I said this. It may have been at work. I can't remember, but I said that men operate understanding that there's a low level threat of violence between them. So we generally mind what we say. We're very cognizant of what we say to each other, because again, we know if we say something out of line, you may have to, defend yourself. So again, there's a low level threat of violence there. Females typically don't necessarily operate with that, especially when they're speaking to men. That's one reason why you can hear sometimes a female just going off on how she's talking to a dude, because she doesn't have that low level threat of violence in her mind that we operate with. Let's see. CJ says, as a boxer, knowing I got the upper hand the majority of the times, you have to know, wait a minute, who a boxer?
See, a boxer.
As a boxer, knowing I got the upper hand the majority of the times, you have to know your crowd. And if you feel like it can be disrespectful at any moment with any person, then you don't even need to be there. Okay, I give you that. I always use my meditation skills to get help to deal with the situation. Those without kids, we handle things differently. I use words. If I hit someone, I'm going to jail for real. I'm a strong woman and can handle myself against ignorant people.
I know people without kids that handle the situation the same way.
Yeah, and simply because if you handle the situation, if you react physically, that does not take away from your strength as a woman. I promise you that. Just like it didn't take away from Will's strength as a man because he reacted the way he reacted. Let's see. Don't know who. Oh, D-Grade. Okay, he goes, if anyone crossed those lines, you have to turn into Uncle Jerome and get your squabble on from Snowball. That's Uncle Jerome. I got to catch up on that too. A-Trap says, I thought her was a pit bull. I don't know what he's talking about.
I don't know either.
All right. So now time for final thoughts. We have gone over a little bit over an hour, so we will go around and give our final thoughts on this situation, and we will start with the baby queen. Go.
I think that just out of this whole situation, you just have to watch how you deliver certain things to people, because you never know how they're going to take it, especially if it was one of those things. I think it was a learning experience for Chris Rock. Oh, he thought, this is the perfect time for me to throw in this comment about G.I. Jane 2, and it didn't land well. But then I also think that Will has also learned from this situation too, because this is definitely, I think this moment kind of has overshadowed all of the good, as some people have said, that happened with the Oscars. But whether we react by pulling somebody to the side, whether we react by hitting someone, there's always going to be consequences for our actions, no matter what, whether it's good or bad, whether you agree with it or not. So I just think that people saying how they would have reacted to it, you can't really say that without being in the situation, because you never know where you are in your breaking point. And I think Will had a human moment in front of the world for everyone to witness and to break apart and to say what they would have done and say how he should have reacted when you weren't in the situation and you don't understand where he was mentally, emotionally, all of that. So it was a buildup of things happening. So you just have to be careful how you handle people.
Make up final thoughts.
I agree with totally what Alicia said. And at any point in this conversation, if you thought we agree with violence, I think you missed the whole thing. We were talking about protecting one another and what protection looks like to some people and what it looks like when people snap. And unfortunately, like I stated before, we cannot pick and choose when people snap. So while both comedians, because Will is a comedian, sometimes, while both actors and he's an actor and comedian, chose what they did. Both, like Ted stated earlier, were right and had some wrong in it. You know, consequences come with it. But it, like Alicia stated, there was positive. You had a Black produced show. You had people who won the Oscars who were, you know, African American, who had never won before. And I want to take the positive out of this. And one of the statements that came from this, and I want to carry with me forever, was from Denzel Washington. At your highest moment, that's when the devil comes for you. So you have to be careful. So be careful as you move and as you go through life, whether it's, you know, at your highest moment emotionally, financially, spiritually, in your relationship. Just watch how the devil comes for you and be prepared for that, and know how to handle yourself in different situations. That's it.
All right, Nicole.
Yes, I just think the whole thing is unfortunate, and I'm just it just reminds me of, you never know what somebody is going through. And I remember as a kid sitting at Davis Chapel, they would say things like that, is that you never know what a person is going through. So don't just keep antagonizing somebody or whatever the case may be, but just be kind, because we don't know what somebody's going through at their house or what it took them to get to where they are, whether it's work or an award show or whatever. But I just pray that if whatever the issue is with him or with Chris, I just hope that it all just dies out and that they actually truly can forgive one another. And that's it. Just always remember that you have a forgiving heart.
Right. So I've heard some people talk about how this took away from the fact that there was an all Black production staff or all female production crew or something of that nature. Well, let me say this: before this took place, I hadn't heard that this was an all Black nothing. No. So had this not happened, I don't know if, but 10% of the world would have known there was an all Black staff anyway. So not sure about that. Now, I'm exactly where Nikki is with it. And I said, my final thoughts on it was, judge ye not, shall ye be judged. And that's based on, you don't know what this man is going through, so for you to talk about how unacceptable it is and how, I would have controlled my emotions and I would have, okay, let me see you. Let me let you have to experience some turmoil for 2-3 years in a row and then say something to you that you consider offensive. And let me see you keep it together in all situations. And then, maybe you could talk about what was inappropriate in terms of his response. Because as far as I'm concerned, hey, I mean, hell, I don't know how many of us who hadn't just been riding down the road. We know what road rage is about nowadays, and we know that you don't know what somebody's carrying. But when a joker cuts you off, you done already shot him before you know it. You done laid on your horn, or you done shot him the finger, you done whatever. And as soon as it's over with, you be like, God, dog, I shouldn't have done that. It just doesn't make any sense. We all have moments, and I think they said it. Mayhem said it best last night when he says, "We are humans having human experiences," and he had a human experience. And I, for one, will not be the individual who will belittle him for that human experience. Or were there different ways to handle it? There's always more than one way to skin a cat, but I'm not going to judge you for doing what you did. So it is what it is. And again, now I'm through with it. Next week's, I'm through, bitch. Next week's episode. Next week's episode, Secrets and Lies, with special guest therapist Latoya Carter. I saw her on Marriage is Real. She was fantastic.
Phenomenal.
She's going to be fantastic here. If you don't tune in for nothing other than her advice and her book on how to beat the side chick, if nothing else, you come for that, but she is a wealth of knowledge. So please join us next week with Dr. Latoya Carter. You will not be disappointed. As always, we appreciate your participation. Mayhem says another great show tonight. Appreciate you, sir. And again, we appreciate you. We appreciate your comments. We appreciate your involvement. And we will definitely see you next week on another episode of Queen3 and King.
Bye, y'all.
See y'all.
Smiling or what we doing?
The Queen Bee has arrived.
We'll show out then. So I'm gonna start with both of y'all's hands right here.
Look for my thumb.
Look for your thumbs.
Like if you can see my thumb on this